Okay, assalamu alaikum students. Are you listening me, beta?
Yes, sir.
So that's fine.
Yes, sir.
Okay, my dear students, as you know that yesterday we had started with the identification of salts. Identification of salts, I have told you that you have been provided with some salt. Salt is an ionic compound. It contains positive and negative ions, positive ion cations, negative ions anions. Okay, and then the next thing I've told you that there are some tests for cations and there are some tests for anions. So yesterday we had started with the test for cations. Okay, so let's start with the test for cations. Test for cations हम लोगों ने start किए थे. And what we have do, we have taken the two test tube, put little bit amount of the salt inside it, and then water inside it, and just stir it up. The salt that has been dissolved inside it, so you will get the aqueous solution of salt. So these are the two test tube. So this is test tube 1, this is test tube 2. So both of these test tube contain aqueous solution of salt. Okay, so in the first test tube, my dear, what you have did, you have put 5 to 10 drops of aqueous sodium hydroxide, which is a strong alkali. And in the second test tube, you have added 5 to 10 drops of aqueous ammonia. Aqueous ammonia, this is weak alkali. This is the weak alkali. And this one, aqueous sodium hydroxide, that is the strong alkali. Okay, so this is the last time thing we have done. Okay, so now we are going to start with the next thing now. Okay, beta, if you see up here, you have got the two test tubes in which aqueous solution of salt is present. Okay, salt with water, that is present. Okay, in the first test tube, you have added 5 to 10 drops of aqueous sodium hydroxide. In the second test tube, you have added 5 to 10 drops of aqueous ammonia. Okay, now what would happen, beta? After adding these two things, the two things would happen. The first thing, that would happen, that is precipitate formed, precipitate not formed. And the second thing that would happen, that is precipitate formed. So these two functions would happen when you are going to add aqueous sodium hydroxide or aqueous ammonia within the aqueous solution of the salt. Whether the precipitate not formed or precipitate they are being formed. Precipitate, what does mean by precipitate? Precipitate mean, let's suppose this is my bottle. Have a look. This is the bottle. This is having the water inside it. Okay. So if I'm going to put my hand up there, so are you people able to see my hand little bit? Is it? You can see it. Okay. So it means the water does not contain any precipitate, any solid thing. Okay. So it means the water does not contain any precipitate inside it, any solid particles inside it. You got it? Now, if you fill this bottle with the milkshake, okay, and then I'm going to put the hand up here, so you people are unable to see my hand. So it means it contains the precipitate inside it. It contains the solid thing inside it. You got it? So the word precipitate means the solid particles, they are being formed within these two test tubes. So the first option is precipitate not formed, the solid particles not formed, and the second precipitate formed, the solid particles are formed within the test tube. Is it clear, my dear? If the precipitate that is not formed in both of the test tubes, so keep remember your one ion, positive ion should be present, and its name is ammonia, and its formula NH4 plus 1. It may be present. Okay, it may be present. To confirm this ammonium ion, what should we do? We should take the test tube 1. Test tube 1. Firstly, you have added 5 to 10 drops of aqueous sodium hydroxide inside it. Now you should add excess of aqueous sodium hydroxide inside it. In the test tube 1, firstly you have added 5 to 10 drops of aqueous sodium hydroxide. Now to confirm the ammonium ion, you should add excess of sodium hydroxide in it. Heat gently. Okay, heat gently mean, if let's suppose this is the this is the test tube. Okay, so this is the flame. This blue thing is going to show you the flame. So what should you do? You should put it on the flame, then take it back. Then put it on the flame, then take it back. Don't put it always on the flame. So this way of heating a substance, that is called as the gently heat. Heat gently, and if you heat gently, what would happen? A gas with pungent smell is produced, turns moist red litmus blue. So that gas is actually ammonia gas, and keep remember your ammonium ion that is being confirmed. It is confirmed. You got it? So you have to do this whole process. If you put 5 to 10 drops of aqueous sodium hydroxide, 5 to 10 drops of aqueous ammonia, and no precipitate is formed, no solid particles they are being formed in these two test tubes, then what should you do? To confirm ammonium may be present if no precipitate is formed in both of the test tubes. So to confirm it, you take the test tube 1, add excess of sodium hydroxide inside it, heat it gently. Okay, if a gas with pungent smell means beta, a gas, if you just smell it, you will feel like something you want to run away. It's like that. Your health, you will start becoming senseless like that. So it's a pungent smell. Okay, so a gas with pungent smell that is being produced. Pungent means chubne wali. It's going to snitch away your nose and something like that. You want to run away. Okay, so pungent smell is produced, which turns moist red litmus paper blue. Moist red litmus paper blue. Litmus paper lele. Moist means just dip it in water. Okay, and then put it on the top of the test tube. If this moist red litmus paper turns blue, so it means the gas rising, that is the ammonia gas, because ammonia is the basic gas. It turns moist red litmus paper blue. So the ammonium ion that is being confirmed. You got it? You got it, guys? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
The second thing, That is, if the precipitate that is being produced, if the precipitate that is formed, you have to see the color of the precipitate. Okay, so there are the four colors which are being produced. The first one, that is white precipitate. The second one, that is blue precipitate. The third one, that is green precipitate. And the fourth one, that is reddish brown precipitate. Okay, so these four colors of the precipitate, they are being produced. Okay, so now one more thing. All these precipitates produced up here, these are the solid particles actually. These are the solid thing. You people are unable to see across the test tube when the precipitate they are being formed. So it may be white. White color means just like milk. It may be green, it may be blue, or it may be reddish brown. Only these four colors precipitate they are being formed. Okay. Now if the white precipitate is formed, which ions could be present? Al plus 3, Ca plus 2, and zinc plus 2. If the blue precipitate is formed, Cu plus 2. Green precipitate is formed, Cr plus 3 and Fe plus 2. They may be present. And if the reddish brown precipitate is formed, Fe plus 3 that would be formed. Okay, my dear, one more thing now. Now keep remember, if somebody asks you, this is very important question and just listen it very carefully. In papers, most of the time he is going to ask you the question. Let's suppose, if he is going to ask you that the blue precipitate, what is the name of the blue precipitate? Anybody could tell me? What is the name of blue precipitate? Copper plus 2. So most of the students, they give this answer, copper plus 2. But keep remember, my dear students, what you have added inside it, you have added the alkali. And alkali produces OH minus ions. So all the precipitate which are being formed, they are not just Al plus 3. They are their hydroxides. So hydroxides, they would join with them. So if somebody asks you that what is the name of the blue precipitate, the name of the blue precipitate is copper 2 hydroxide. Hydroxide would join with them. Okay, and what is its formula? Cu plus 2 OH minus 1. So it would become CuOH twice. So this is the name of the precipitate and this is the formula of the precipitate. So all the precipitates, they are formed by the hydroxides. The hydroxides would join with all of these ions. You got it? Okay. So if I'm going to ask you that what is the name of the reddish brown precipitate? Yes, Jiza.
Sir, iron oxide. Iron hydroxide.
No, iron 3 hydroxide because it contains the plus 3 charge on it, beta. So iron 3 hydroxide. Okay. So what is the name of the green precipitate? Green precipitate could be iron 2 hydroxide or chromium 3 hydroxide. And you can make the formula of them. Okay. So in most of the time, he is going to ask you the question that what is the name of the blue precipitate? What is the name of reddish brown precipitate? So it's not only the ion. With that ion, the hydroxide that is being attached. So you should join them together and then tell the name of that particular, you can say, precipitate name. Okay. Did you got it? Yes. Okay, now for cations, the last thing for cations, then we are going to start with the anions. For cations, the last thing you have to do, my dear, firstly, you have added 5 to 10 drops of aqueous sodium hydroxide. Now, what should you do? You should add excess of aqueous sodium hydroxide inside it, and you should add excess of aqueous ammonia inside it. Okay, so in the test tube 1 and test tube 2, you should add excess of aqueous sodium hydroxide, and in the second test tube you should add excess of aqueous ammonia. Okay, so this thing is little bit difficult to learn, but I am telling you very simplest method by which you can learn it. And what is that method? Just listen. Okay, for aluminium, just learn this word, Psi. For calcium, In. For zinc, Sus. Copper is. Chromium, Psi. Iron, I. And for iron 3, I. The word I mean insoluble. S mean soluble. And N mean no precipitate formed. Okay, so you should learn all these stuff. So my dear students, aluminium forms white precipitate, and these white precipitate, they are soluble in excess of sodium hydroxide, and they are insoluble in excess of aqueous ammonia. So in paper, when they are going to ask you about the cations test, you should learn this stuff. Al plus 3, just learn it, Psi. Calcium plus 2, In. Okay, zinc plus 2, that is Sus. Then Cu plus 2, that is. Okay, and then Cr plus 3, that is Psi. And then iron plus 2, that is I. And then iron plus 3, that is I. Just learn this stuff. This stuff. If you learn this stuff, it will become easy for you. Otherwise, if I'm going to write this whole thing that the white precipitate are soluble, so it is more difficult for you to learn. Okay. So S for soluble, I for insoluble, N for no precipitate form. So you should learn all these ones. Okay. So if I'm going to ask you, differentiate between the green precipitate. If the green precipitate are of iron 2, okay, so they are insoluble in excess of aqueous sodium hydroxide, and they are insoluble in excess of aqueous ammonia. But if the green precipitate are of chromium, so they are soluble in excess of sodium hydroxide, but they are insoluble in excess of aqueous ammonia. You got it? So just like that, you can remember this whole stuff, this whole thing. Okay, that is the test for cations. Everybody got it, beta?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just take a screenshot of it. Then I'm going to move to the next thing. Sorry? Noted? That's fine. Can I rub it now, beta?
Yes, sir.
Guys, can I rub it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, my dear students, now we are going to start with the test for anions. So let's start with the test for anions. Anions mean negative ions. Okay. So keep remember, my dear students, that if you want to test the anions, what should you do? There are some anions, so we are going to discuss them one by one. The first anion, that is the nitrate. Nitrate has got the formula NO3 minus 1. Okay. So let's discuss it better. First of all, what should you do? You should take a test tube, put a little bit amount of the salt that is being provided for identification, and put water inside it. So you will get aqueous solution of salt. So this is aqueous solution of salt. Aqueous solution of salt means that it contains the little bit amount of the salt and then water. Okay. So now the next thing, for nitrate test, you have to add the two things inside it. That is the first thing, that is aqueous sodium hydroxide, and the second thing, that is aluminium foil. These two things you should add inside it. And then when you add these things up here, then you have to heat gently. And after gently heat, if a gas produced turns moist, red, litmus blue, so that gas is the ammonia gas, and your nitrate NO3 minus 1, that is being confirmed. Okay. So this is the first test, nitrate test. The test of the nitrate, my dear, and the test of ammonium, that resembles with each other. Now just listen it very carefully. If you people just add sodium hydroxide, and heat it, and ammonia gas produced which turns moist red litmus paper blue, so that would be the test of ammonium ion, NH4 positive ion, cations test. Okay. But if just adding sodium hydroxide in the aqueous solution of salt does not produce ammonia gas, with that, if you add aluminium foil and then ammonia gas is produced, so this is the test for negative ion, which is called as the nitrate. So nitrate and ammonium, their tests resemble with each other. In ammonium, you just add sodium hydroxide, heat, ammonia gas produced. For nitrate, if you add sodium hydroxide and aluminium foil and then heat it, ammonia produced, so that is the nitrate test. You got it? So both of the tests, they resemble with each other. So you should know both of them. So this is your first test, that is the nitrate test. The second test we are going to start, that is the halides. Halides is chloride, bromide, and iodide test. These all things, my dear, they are going to belong from group 7. Group 7, that is called as the halogens. Okay. So if the halogens, they are present, if they are present in the negative form, so they are called as the halides. So we are going to test with the halides now. Okay. So for that, what should you do? Again, you should take a test tube, put little bit amount of the salt and water. So you will get aqueous solution of salt in the test tube. Okay, so this is the aqueous solution of salt. The second thing you should add inside it, that is dilute nitric acid, HNO3, that is nitric acid. The function of the nitric acid is nothing. Keep remember, my dear students, that all the salts, they are extracted from the soil, and in soil most of the salt, they are mixed up with a little bit amount of the carbonate. हर salt के अंदर carbonate present होता है. So to destroy those carbonates, we add the dilute nitric acid. Otherwise, it has got no function. Why we are going to add this one? Because if the carbonates, they are present within the salt, so whatever the color that is being formed up here, that color is dull, that is not properly visible. So to make it properly visible, we add dilute nitric acid. And what is the function of the nitric acid up here? Its function is to destroy carbonates. Okay, its function is to destroy carbonate. Okay, so this is the first thing you should add inside it. The second thing you should add, that is aqueous silver nitrate. Silver nitrate is AgNO3. Okay, so this thing you could add, or aqueous lead nitrate. So its formula is PbNO3 whole twice. So you could add any of the thing, but I suggest you just remember this thing. This thing. Don't remember this thing. Don't use this thing. Just use silver nitrate. And if you people are going to add the silver nitrate up here, if the white precipitate are formed, if the white precipitate are formed, white precipitate would be of AgCl or PbCl2. So chloride, that is confirmed. And if the off-white precipitate, AgBr or PbBr2. So your bromide, that is confirmed. And if yellow precipitate is formed, so that would be of AgI or PbI2. So iodide, that is being confirmed. You got it? If you add silver nitrate, the silver chloride, silver bromide, or silver iodide is formed. If you are going to add lead nitrate, so lead chloride, lead bromide, or lead iodide is formed. Okay, and all these things, they will form these colors precipitate. White precipitate, chloride. Off-white, bromide. Yellow precipitate, iodide. You got it?
Yes, sir.
So up till now, we have done the two tests for the anions, nitrate, and the second one, that is halide. So if this test is not being done, okay, so then what should you do? You should do your third test. And the third test, that is sulfate SO4 minus 2 test. Okay, guys, for the sulfate test, what should you do? You should take a test tube, put little bit amount of the salt and water inside it. So you will get aqueous solution of salt, and then you should add dilute nitric acid, and the function of the nitric acid is exactly same, to destroy the carbonate. Okay, and then you should add aqueous barium nitrate or aqueous barium chloride. So you can use any of the thing. Use barium nitrate, that is more perfect. Okay, if you add barium nitrate and white precipitate is formed. So these white precipitate are of BaSO4 and your sulfate SO4 minus 2, that is confirmed.
सर एनायन के लिए हर एलिमेंट का डिफरेंट होता है
Yes, my dear. Anions के जब टेस्ट करने हैं तो हर बार आपने aqueous solution of salt लेके पहले नाइट्रेट का टेस्ट करो. अगर ये नहीं अप्लाई होता तो अगेन यू टेक लिटिल बिट अमाउंट ऑफ द salt, okay, put water and then do this test, halides test, dilute nitric acid और silver nitrate ऐड करके देखो कि white precipitate बनते हैं, off white बनते हैं कि yellow बनते हैं. अगर नहीं बनते तो then move towards the sulfate. You got it?
यस सर.
कौन सा प्रैक्टिकल के लिए भी है, वैसे भी है माय डियर, दोनों तरीकों से आता है. एटीपी में 10 नंबर का क्वेश्चन कल बताया तो था यार, 10 मार्क्स का क्वेश्चन. करेंगे प्रैक्टिस अभी इसको भी. ओके माय डियर स्टूडेंट्स, द नेक्स्ट टेस्ट that is not present in your books and this is newly added. This is the sulfite test, SO3 minus 2. So you should take a test tube, okay, which contains aqueous solution of salt, and then you should add concentrated HCl inside it, hydrochloric acid. HCl is hydrochloric acid. Okay, HCl, it is called as the hydrochloric acid. So if you add the hydrochloric acid inside it, so what would happen? A gas produced turns acidified potassium magnate from purple to colorless. Okay, so that gas produced, that is sulfur dioxide, and your SO3 minus 2, that is confirmed. So this is the newly added test, sulfide test. Okay, guys, if you have copied it, can I rub this one, nitrate one?
Yes.
Yes.
And then the last one, my dear, that is the carbonate test. Carbonate is CO3 minus 2. Its test. Okay. So what is the test for carbonate, my dear? It's a very simple test. You should take the aqueous solution of salt. Aqueous solution of salt, I have told you, take little bit amount of salt, take water, mix it up. So you will get the aqueous solution of salt. You should add dilute HCl inside it. Dilute HCl, if you add it, what would happen? Effervescence seen. What is effervescence? If you people have got the Coke or the Sprite bottle in your hand, and you are going to shake it and then open its lid, so what would happen? The bubbles, एक foam type चीज बाहर निकलेगी. So that foam type bubbles, they are called as the effervescence, and that is only due to carbon dioxide, not anything else. Keep remember that. So effervescence seen, and a gas produced turns lime water milky. Okay, so this is carbon dioxide gas and your carbonate, that is confirmed. So these are the 5 tests for the negative ions.